Hi, English learners. Welcome to English Unlock the Oral Mastery. Think of this as your daily dose of inspiration, where learning English feels like a breeze and improving your life feels like home. I am your host, Daniel.
And I am your expert guide, Jenny. We are just so thrilled to be sitting down with you today.
We really are. And, before we press record for this deep dive today, we're actually looking through this huge stack of research.
Oh, massive stack.
Yeah, a massive stack about how human beings actually acquire new skills. And this really big question jumped out at us.
Right. It is a question that, honestly, every single learner faces at some point.
Exactly. The question is this: why do some people completely transform their lives and, their language skills, while other people just stay stuck in the exact same place for years?
It really is the ultimate question.
Right. Because think about it. Imagine two people. They both buy the exact same English textbook.
Okay.
They both have the exact same dream of speaking confidently. But you look at them 5 years later, and one person is leading business meetings in English.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other person, they still feel completely terrified to just say hello to a tourist on the street.
That is such a real scenario.
It is. So what is the difference? I mean, it is not about who is smarter. It is really not. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into the real reasons behind this.
Yes. And to understand how to actually transform your English and your life, we have to start by looking at the starting line.
The starting line.
Right. We need to unpack what is keeping you glued to the floor right now, because you cannot move forward if you are tied down.
That makes perfect sense. I actually want to throw something out there right away.
Go for it.
I think the biggest trap that keeps people glued to the floor is this human desire for a fresh start.
Oh, definitely.
Like, we love the idea of suddenly becoming a brand new person. We imagine waking up tomorrow and just speaking flawless, perfect English.
It is a beautiful dream.
It is. But that beautiful dream is instantly destroyed by this toxic, quiet little question in our minds.
And what is that question?
What if I try and it doesn't work?
Oh, yeah, that question is the ultimate dream killer. What if I try and it doesn't work?
It just stops you cold.
It does. Because when you ask your brain that question, you actually trigger something called paralysis by analysis.
Okay, let's break that down for our listeners. Paralysis by analysis. I know the word paralysis means you physically cannot move.
Right.
But what is actually happening inside the brain when this happens?
So it is basically a biological freeze response.
A freeze response, like an animal in the wild.
Exactly like that. When you analyze a situation too much, when you sit there and imagine all the ways you might fail or, sound foolish or make a grammar mistake, your brain reacts.
It reacts to the grammar
It
mistake.
reacts to the fear. Your brain starts to perceive that social embarrassment as a literal physical threat.
Wow. So the brain thinks you are in actual danger.
Yes. Your brain says, danger, do not open your mouth, do not speak. So you freeze. You just stay perfectly still at the starting line because, biologically, your brain thinks it is keeping you safe.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we think we are just being careful. We think we're just being smart. But our brain is actually trapping us.
Exactly.
And this leads directly to what I like to call the myth of the right moment.
Oh, yes. I see English learners do this constantly.
Right. They wait for a perfect plan. They say things like, well, I will start practicing speaking when my vocabulary is bigger.
Or they say, I will start next month when my job is less busy.
Always next month.
Always. But I want to be very, very clear about this for our listeners. The perfect moment is a lie.
A total lie.
If you are waiting to feel 100% ready before you do something challenging, you will be waiting until the end of your life. Growth is actually supposed to feel uncomfortable.
Okay, I have to push back a little bit here, though.
Sure.
Shouldn't a learner have a good plan? Like, isn't it smart to wait until you have some basic grammar before you try to talk to native speakers?
Having a basic plan is great. You need a foundation. But hiding behind a plan is dangerous.
Hiding behind it.
Yes. People use planning as an excuse to avoid taking real action. And that brings up an even bigger trap.
What is that?
It is what we call the motivation ghost.
Oh, the motivation ghost. I love this concept. Let's really explore this.
It is so common.
It is, because we tend to treat motivation like it is the weather.
Right.
Like we look out the window and say, oh, it is raining today. I guess I cannot go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or applied to English, where we say, oh, I just do not feel motivated to study today. I will just wait until the motivation ghost visits me.
We treat motivation like this magical feeling that has to strike us like lightning.
Exactly. Like it just falls from the sky.
But the psychological reality is the exact opposite.
Really?
Yes, motivation does not cause action. Action causes motivation.
Wait. Say that again. Action causes motivation.
Action causes motivation.
Explain how that works. That feels backwards.
It does feel backwards, but think about the mechanics of the brain. When you take a very small action, even if you just sit down and study for 3 minutes, your brain does something.
What does it do?
It releases a tiny bit of dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Exactly. Dopamine makes you feel good, and feeling good makes you want to do more.
Oh, wow.
So you do not wait for the feeling to start the work. You start the work to create the feeling.
That completely flips the script. It really does. So let's connect this directly to you, our listener.
Yes, let's apply this.
The most common phrase we hear from English learners is this: I will start speaking English when I am fluent.
Oh, it is the ultimate paradox.
It is completely illogical. It is like saying, I will start going to the gym when I have big muscles.
Aha, exactly.
You cannot wait for fluency to arrive so that you can finally speak. The mechanism works in reverse.
It works in reverse. You have to open your mouth first.
Right. You have to open your mouth, struggle to find the words, make terrible mistakes, and correct them.
You have to embrace the mistakes.
That messy action is the only vehicle that actually drives you toward fluency.
Exactly. People do not realize this, but fluency is actually the result of speaking poorly for a long time.
Fluency is a result of speaking poorly for a long time. That is a powerful sentence.
This takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
It really does. So I want you to reflect right now as you listen to this. Think about your own life. What is truly holding you back right now?
Good question.
Are you really lacking the intelligence to learn English? Or are you just waiting for a motivation ghost that hasn't arrived? Or are you just waiting to feel ready?
And once we recognize that waiting is a trap, it forces us to find a real solution.
Right. Because we cannot just stay frozen.
Because like we said earlier, trying to change everything overnight just causes that freeze response.
The brain panics.
The brain panics completely. So there has to be a gentler, smarter way to build fluency without triggering that fear.
Which means we have to let go of our cultural obsession with overnight success.
We really do.
We all want that movie montage, We want to study super hard for one single weekend and wake up completely bilingual.
We want the shortcut.
But real mastery is not dramatic. Real mastery is actually, well, it is quite boring. It is gradual.
It is incredibly gradual. And the most powerful tool for this kind of gradual change is the 1% rule.
The 1% rule. Okay, break down the math on this for us because it is fascinating.
The math proves that consistency is stronger than intensity.
Good.
So if you improve your English by just 1% every single day, you do not just get a little bit better over time. By the end of one full year, you are mathematically 37 times better than when you started.
37 times better. Wait, really? Just 1% a day?
Just 1% a day.
That is not a small upgrade. Being 37 times better is a completely different person.
It is a total transformation.
To make this real for our listeners, let's think about how money works.
I love this analogy.
Right. If you put a little bit of money into an investment bank account, it earns compound interest.
Yes.
Your money earns interest. And then that interest earns more interest.
It snowballs.
It snowballs. And learning a language works the exact same way.
How so?
Well, if you learn just one new word today, you might use that single word tomorrow to understand a whole new sentence.
Oh, right.
And then that one sentence helps you understand a completely new conversation the next day. The knowledge compounds just like money.
That is a brilliant way to look at it because, practicing English for 5 minutes a day feels completely invisible.
It feels like you did nothing.
Exactly. Reading one short article tomorrow feels like a waste of time. But over months and years, those tiny deposits build massive wealth in your brain.
Massive wealth. And it actually does more than just build skills. It changes who you are as a person.
Yes, it changes your identity.
The author James Clear talks about this in his famous book, Atomic Habits. He argues that our habits actually shape our identity.
Yes, the concept of identity is central here because identity is simply what you believe about yourself.
Right.
If you believe, oh, I am bad at languages, then learning will always be painful. But James Clear says that every small action you take is like a vote.
A vote. Okay, walk us through that. How am I voting?
Imagine a real ballot box in your mind.
Okay, I am picturing a ballot box.
Every single time you press play on this deep dive, you are taking a tiny action. You are writing your name on a piece of paper and casting a vote.
A vote for who?
A vote that tells your brain, I am the type of person who consistently learns English.
Oh, wow.
You are not just learning new vocabulary, you are actually proving to yourself that you are a dedicated learner.
I love that. You do not have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You just have to cast the vote.
Exactly. Just cast the vote.
I actually have a real-world example of this that proves you do not need extreme effort to win.
Oh, tell me.
I know someone who achieved total fluency in English, and their method was honestly shocking to me.
What did they do?
They did not move to London or New York.
Yeah.
They did not buy any of those expensive courses.
Okay.
They did not lock themselves in a library for hours on the weekend. All they did was use their daily commute to work.
Their commute?
Yeah, 30 minutes on the train in the morning and 30 minutes on the train in the evening.
That is it. Just an hour of listening during travel time.
That is it. But here's the secret. They did it every single working day for years.
Wow.
They never missed a train ride. They did not exhaust themselves. They did not burn out. They just cast that 1% vote every single day on the train.
And the compound interest worked.
The compound interest of that simple habit resulted in complete fluency.
That completely removes the pressure, doesn't it?
It really does. You don't have to quit your job to learn English. So let me offer you a visual analogy, listener.
I love visuals.
Imagine a giant, towering mountain. The peak of that mountain, way up in the clouds, that is perfect English fluency. Now, if you stand at the bottom of the mountain and stare straight up at those clouds, looking at the very top, what happens?
Your brain triggers that fear response. You freeze.
Because the mountain's just too big.
It is overwhelming.
Exactly. So stop looking at the top of the mountain, lower your eyes, look down.
Look at the ground.
Yes. Just look for the next small stone right in front of your shoe. Just step on that stone.
That is such good advice.
What is your next small stone today? Is it reviewing 3 vocabulary words? Is it listening to 5 minutes of audio? Do not worry about the clouds. Just step on the stone.
Just step on the stone. But here is the catch.
There's a catch.
Yes, you can take those small steps. You can step on the stones.
Yeah.
But if your mind is constantly working against you, you will eventually quit.
Oh, that is true.
Taking action is only the physical part of the journey. We have to look at the psychological part, too.
Right. We need to talk about rewiring the brain.
Because I can take a 1% step, but my internal voice might still be screaming, you sound stupid when you speak.
That internal voice is loud. How do we bypass that mental block?
It all starts with something called the growth mindset.
The growth mindset.
Yes. The core of a growth mindset is just the simple belief that your abilities can actually be developed. You are not stuck.
Okay.
But this goes way deeper than just having a positive attitude. This is grounded in actual biology. Daniel, have you ever heard of the reticular activating system?
The reticular activating system, or the RAS, yes, I have.
It is amazing.
I know this is a biological mechanism, but let's explain it simply for our listeners. What exactly is happening in our heads with the RAS?
Sure. So the RAS is basically a bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem.
Okay.
And its primary job is to filter information. Think about it. Right now, as you listen to this, there are millions of pieces of data around you.
Oh, yeah.
The temperature of the room, the feeling of your clothes against your skin, a dog barking outside. If your brain tried to process all of it consciously, you would just collapse from exhaustion.
You would go crazy.
Yeah.
So the RAS acts like a bouncer at a nightclub.
Yes, a bouncer with a little clipboard.
Right. The bouncer decides what information gets to come inside your conscious mind and what gets ignored and kept outside.
That is exactly right. And the most important thing to know is that the RAS filters information based on what you tell it is important.
Wait, we control the bouncer.
We control the bouncer. Let me give you the classic example. Have you ever bought a new car, let's say a red car, and suddenly you start seeing that exact same red car everywhere you go?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
You look around and think, wow, everyone suddenly bought the exact same car as me today.
But they didn't.
It didn't.
No, those cars were always there. Your RAS was just filtering them out as unimportant background noise.
Oh, I see.
Once you bought the car, you told your brain, hey, red cars are important to my identity now. So your RAS started letting that information through the filter.
Okay, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
But how does this red car effect apply to someone learning English?
It applies directly to your negative beliefs.
Really?
Yes. If your internal monologue constantly says things like, English grammar is impossible, or I am terrible at speaking,
Which so many learners say.
you are literally programming your RAS. You are telling your brain's bouncer, hey, Failure is really important to my identity.
Wow, that is heavy. So if I tell myself I am bad at English, my own biology goes to work to prove me right.
Yes, your RAS will actively scan your environment for evidence that you are failing.
Just like looking for the red car.
Exactly. It will highlight every single time you forget a word. It will make you hyper-aware if a native speaker looks even slightly confused.
Then what about the good moments?
That is the worst part. It will filter out your successes. You could have a great 5-minute conversation, but your brain will literally ignore it because it does not fit the negative program you gave the answer.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
We are literally blinding ourselves to our own progress just to save cognitive energy.
We are.
So we have to change the instructions we are giving the bouncer. How do we reprogram the RAS?
This is where affirmations come in.
Affirmations. Okay, I have to be honest with you, Jenny. I am a bit skeptical here.
I get it. A lot of people are.
Because affirmations often sound like fake magic to me. You know, standing in front of a mirror and saying, I am a beautiful genius. I mean, does that actually do anything?
I completely understand the skepticism. If you just say empty words that you do not actually believe, then no, it will not work.
Right.
But scientifically, affirmations are just a simple way of feeding new code into the RAS. You do not have to lie to yourself.
So what do you say?
You do not say, I speak perfect English, if you do not. You say, I am improving my English every single day. Or, I am becoming a more confident speaker.
Oh, I see. So we are just giving the brain a completely new target.
Exactly. When you repeat, I am finding ways to improve, your RAS says, okay, noted, improvement is important now.
The bouncer writes it on the clipboard.
Yes, and suddenly, your brain starts noticing the new words you learned. It highlights that moment when a difficult grammar rule finally makes sense. Your brain becomes a machine that actively searches for your success.
I challenge you, the listener, to really pay attention to your thoughts today. When you sit down to study grammar, what is your script?
Listen to that voice.
If you are saying this is too hard, your brain will hide the solutions from you. Change the script. Try saying, grammar is just a puzzle, and I am learning how the pieces fit together. Just give your brain permission to find the answer.
That shift in perspective changes everything. It really does. But there is one final piece to this puzzle we need to cover.
What is that?
Well, we have talked about taking small actions. We have talked about rewiring your internal...
Let me give you a way to visualize this for our listeners.
Please do.
Imagine you are getting ready to run a big race. You have trained, you have your mindset right, you are ready to go.
Okay.
But the people around you, your environment, they hand you a pair of heavy shoes.
Heavy shoes.
Yes. Imagine lacing up boots made of solid iron.
Oh, wow. That sounds awful.
It is. Trying to succeed while surrounded by negative, lazy, or unsupportive people is exactly like trying to run a race wearing heavy iron shoes.
That is such a vivid picture.
It does not matter how strong your willpower is. You are going to get tired. The heavy shoes will slow you down.
That is a perfect analogy. You cannot out-willpower heavy shoes forever. Eventually, you have to take them off. You have to change the environment.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
Especially for our listeners who might live in a town or a country where absolutely no one else is trying to learn English. How do we take actionable steps to upgrade our environment?
The first upgrade is finding growth-driven people.
Okay, but how?
The beautiful thing about the modern world is that your 5 people do not have to live in your physical town.
Oh, true.
They do not even have to be in your time zone. You must join an English learning community online.
That is so true. Finding a digital space where other people are also taking their 1% steps, it changes your reality.
It completely changes it.
Because when you see others struggling and then succeeding, your mirror neurons start copying their persistence. You take off the heavy shoes.
Exactly. Now, the second upgrade is about the voices you let into your mind every day.
The voices.
Yes. Your 5 people do not just have to be friends. They can include mentors, authors, and even hosts of audio programs, just like this deep dive.
I love that. Mentors count as your environment.
They absolutely do. Fill your daily commute or your workout time with inspiring teachers. When you listen to people who encourage growth, you are actively surrounding yourself with support.
Okay, so we find communities and we listen to mentors. What is the final upgrade?
The final step is definitely the most difficult one.
Let's hear it.
You have to actively reduce your exposure to energy drainers.
Energy drainers. These are the people putting the heavy shoes on your feet.
Yes. Maybe it is a friend who always complains about everything. Maybe it is a coworker who actually makes fun of you for trying to study English.
That happens so often.
It really does. Now, you might not be able to eliminate these people from your life completely. You still work with them.
Right.
But You can choose to protect your energy. You can spend a little less time with them. You have to protect your mindset fiercely.
You really do. Wow, this all connects so brilliantly.
It is a full circle.
It is. If we look at the whole picture of what we talked about today, we started by facing the fear that keeps us frozen at the starting line.
Paralysis by analysis.
Right. Then we realized we do not need a perfect plan or a motivation ghost. We just need to cast a 1% vote every single day.
We step on the small stone.
Exactly. After that, we learned how to program our brain's filter, the RES bouncer, to notice opportunities instead of failures.
We gave the bouncer new instructions.
And finally, we learned to take off those heavy shoes by finding a supportive environment.
It really is a complete formula for transformation. You know, the people who actually change their lives do not have some magical hidden secret.
They really don't.
They just understand these mechanics, they take action first, and they let the motivation follow.
And the people who stay stuck, well, they wait. They wait for the perfect moment. They let their brain filter out their successes, and they let negative environments slow them down.
It really is a choice.
It is a choice. Which brings us to the most important moment of our discussion today. Because information without execution is totally useless.
Absolutely useless.
We want to issue a direct challenge to you, the listener, right now.
Are you ready?
Think of just one small change you have been postponing in your English journey. Just one tiny action.
It doesn't have to be big.
Maybe it is writing just one sentence in an English journal. Maybe it is recording your own voice on your phone for 60 seconds. Maybe it is finally clicking join on that online speaking group.
Just pick one.
Do you have that one small action in your mind right now?
Now, here is the absolute rule for this challenge. You must do it today,
Today.
not tomorrow,
Not when you feel more rested. Not when the weekend finally comes. Today.
because of the dopamine loop.
Exactly. Remember the loop. You have to take the step to trigger the chemical reward in your brain. Action creates the momentum. This has been an incredibly rich exploration, and I know you, the listener, are ready for this. As we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
What is that final thought?
Earlier, we discussed James Clear's idea that every action is a vote for your identity.
The ballot box.
Right. By pressing play and listening to us today, you cast a very powerful vote. You literally prove to your brain that you are a dedicated English learner who is committed to growth.
That is true.
That vote is already in the ballot box. So my question to you is this. If listening was your first vote today, what is the very next action you will take the absolute second this audio ends to cast your next vote?
What a question. The very next second.
Exactly. Do not hesitate. Decide what that specific action is right now before the silence even begins. We believe in your potential. We know that the daily stones you are stepping on are building an incredible mountain.
We are so honored to be part of your environment, and we are incredibly proud of the votes you are casting. Keep moving forward, keep protecting your mindset, and always keep growing. We will see you next time on English Unlocked.
Bye.